Are you guys ready for my two-word review of the 3870 X2 from Visiontek? Oh, snap! That was it. Two-word review. You post it all over the internet, so I want it everywhere. Immediately! That's right, this thing is sick! I don't usually get this excited, but hey, it's not that often that the new fastest graphics card is released. The new fastest graphics card in the world. It breaks the 1 teraflop barrier. How many flops are the other ones doing? Not teraflops. That's a lot of math processing in that math processing co-processing processor unit. That's a lot of stuff. Let me just go through the specs. I want to put it up on the screen here, a little chart to show you the difference between this one, the 3870 and the 2900 XT. Now, this one, it's got 1.3 billion transistors. I think the 3870 had 666. Ooh, that's weird. And it also had a 777 megahertz core clock. Well, this one has an 825 megahertz core clock, so they've upped it a little bit from a single 3870. Also, this one has a 1.8 gigahertz. Well, the memory runs at 1.8 gigahertz. Now, let me talk about the memory for a minute, because a lot of the cards in its class, I think even the 2900 with a gigabyte of memory. This one does have a gigabyte of memory. A lot of those use GDDR4. This one uses GDDR3. And the reason they did that was because they wanted to make this card more cost effective. They wanted to make it a little less expensive for you guys, because the GDDR4 is more expensive and you don't really get the speed benefits. I think it's a little more power efficient, but the gamers, what you're really worried about is performance and price. A lot of you guys already have the large power supplies, and this thing does take up less power than the 2900 XT, so it wins in that category too. I'm really not sure. How someone's going to be able to beat this, ever. I mean, there's never ever going to be an upgrade. No, I'm joking. I'm sure that there'll be an upgrade someday. It's DirectX 10.1, and it's also PCI Express 2.0. Let's talk about the benchmarks. I want to go right into it, because then we'll come back and look at the card, but I want you guys to see how fast this card is in games. What it really is it's really two the 3870 cards, or 3870 processors, put into one card. It's a large card. I mean, you might be looking at it and saying, whoa, that is a big AMD ATI card. It's 13 inches long, so if you want to need to measure and make sure it'll fit in your case. It's not quite as big as the 8800 Ultra, but it does get better results. So let's take a look at the benchmarks here. All right, I want to start off with my favorite game. It's Oblivion. I love this game. Can't help it. Shivering Isles. Now, 1680 by 1050. Everything's set to ultra high. There's no filters on, but everything is on ultra high. This card, 69.9 frames a second. I want to compare it to an NVIDIA card. Now, the best NVIDIA card for this game is the new GTS, and that gets 55 frames a second. The 8800 Ultra only gets 48 frames per second, so this gets this gets a lot more than the, that's almost 20 frames a second difference in the Ultra in Oblivion. That's insane. Call of Duty 4. 1680 by 1050 again. That's what I'm playing on, widescreen. With everything on max. No anti-aliasing, but 16x anisotropic filtering. This card gets 118 frames per second. Now, the GTS was the best in that one as well from NVIDIA. That got 94 frames per second, and the GTX was at 90. This smokes in Call of Duty, but not that kind of smoke. That's bad for you. You should stop. All right. Unreal Tournament 3. 1680 by 1050 again, everything set to max. This card was at 141.6 frames per second. The GTS, 106. 141.6. 141.6, Eric. Yeah. I don't see you shaking sticks at this. The GTX got 98. All right, last game I want to talk about is Crysis. Now, the Crysis in performance in Crysis was almost identical to the Ultra. Well, before the new drivers, this card was actually 1 frame per second slower than the Ultra. Now it's like 1 frame faster with the new drivers. But let's talk about what we got. 1680 by 1050. This one scored 31 frames per second. The GTS was at 28 frames per second, and the GTX at 28. And that was everything on high. No anti-aliasing, but everything else was turned up to max. So all the DirectX 10 features turned on. This is insane. Let's take a look at what we're working with here on the card. Now, we do have a large heatsink, which is nice. Let me mention something. I tried this thing out. It's whisper quiet. It's actually quieter than 3870, and this is two 3870s on the same board. I'm not sure why it's quieter, but I loaded up the software. it's overclockable, and I was able to drag the slider over all the way over to the max, which ended up being 878 megahertz. It ran just fine, and it gave me about 8 extra frames per second in Crisis. So that helped a lot. Some of the other games only 1 or 2 frames per second difference. I wanted to push it a little further, so I opened up Riva Tuner. You can actually control this card with Riva Tuner, and you can max out the fan. And when you max out the fan, it does get a little noisier, but it keeps it cool, and then you can drag the overclocking above and beyond what you can do just in the drivers. But in the drivers, you can overclock it. Also, the memory is overclockable as well. So it is a very, very cool card. Taking a look at the front here, we do have 2 DVI ports, 2560 by 1600 in both of these. And then we have the output right there. That can be a breakaway for a component here. This comes in the box. Ooh, snazzy. So you can get 1080i with this cable. And this also comes in the box. This is really nice. That's HDMI. One thing I want to make note of is most graphics cards do not deliver audio through the HDMI. When you use this adapter, it delivers full high-definition audio and video. And it'll do 1080p right out of the back of the graphics card. And another thing to make note of is a lot of times when you install the drivers, since it does have onboard high-definition sound, sometimes the default sound when you reboot your machine will be this one. And you'll be like, why can't I hear anything? Well, just go in and change your default sound driver, you know, in the audio properties back over to your sound card or your onboard if you're using it that way. But it's ideal if you're using a plasma or a widescreen or a flat screen or something like that on the wall. All right, that's it, guys. Fastest graphics card for the moment. It's right here. The ball is back on AMD's side, AMD ATI, taking the crown back for a while it's worth it. And if you're someone who has a Crossfire motherboard like an X38 or an X48, well, it's time to pull out the flags and the whistles and the bells and those little things you blow. They go. What are those things called? What are those things called? All right, get out of here, guys. Go pick up one of these. They're insane. I'll see you guys next time. For more information on the Visiontek Radeon 3870X2 with 1 GB of GDDR3, go to Tiger Direct and type V261-3872 into the search box. Or you can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're awake when you guys are. 800-800-8300.